All right, everybody, it is a solid Wednesday, and we had some more pretty big info regarding Lightfall drop today, referring to weapon tuning going into Season 20, and of course, Lightfall as a whole. And there's one particular section that I feel like a lot of people are going to like. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about them. Now, keep in mind, I'm just going to be highlighting the main parts of the article. If you guys want to go see it for yourself, link to a top description. Let's go ahead and rip the band-aid right off. Linear fusion rifles, legendary linear fusion rifles to be specific, are going to be getting nerfed, okay? Obviously, they've been outperforming every other heavy weapon for boss damage for quite some time. So, reduce damage versus champions mini bosses, and vehicles by 15%, except for Sleeper Simulant and the Queen Breaker's Bow, meaning Sleeper might actually see a little bit rise back in the meta for Lightfall. So, if you don't have your Sleeper with the catalyst done already, that might not be a terrible idea to go ahead and just get done. I'm pretty sure most of us all saw this one coming, and I'm pretty sure most of us are kind of excited to use something other than a linear fusion rifle for most of the time in any sort of difficult boss fight. Next up, we got machine guns, which have been buffed a few times over the past year or so, but only in PvE. They have decided to optimize their base damage a little bit, which makes them more forgiving to use in PvP. The buff also applies across the board in PvE. The PvP damage is typically the base, and the PvE has multipliers on top of that. They're also substantially increasing machine gun reserves, giving them higher uptime. Really useful in in-game content. The ammo reserve buff is going to go by 50% at a 0 inventory stat, and then 20% at 100 inventory stat. And then real quick, they explain basically what the inventory stat is. It's a 0 to 100 value stat behind the scenes that are presented by the actual number of rounds in game. Next up is the part that I think a lot of people are going to want a slice of, which is the heavy grenade launchers. Now, there's one in particular. Heavy GLs have not been touched in a while. On top of that, grenade launcher projectiles have travel time, and overall, a little bit of a skill gap trying to get your grenades to rain down supreme, which in most situations, you really can't even do that consistently. Plus, there's just better options. So with that, heavy grenade launchers should be significantly more useful in PvE and easier to use in both PvE and PvP going into Lightfall. And then the buff goes as follows: increased damage versus champions, mini bosses, and vehicles by 20%, miners by 40%. Improved projectile collision, making it slightly easier to land hits. Increased blast radius by 1 meter, and then Parasite is unaffected because Parasite already does a lot of damage as it is. But you know what is going to be receiving these buffs as well? The good old Anarchy. Yeah, that's kind of why I flashed it earlier in the video. Anarchy is going to be getting a bit of a buff. Now, unfortunately, there's no reserve buffs, which would definitely help a lot. But hey, we'll definitely take that damage buff for sure. Then there's a brief little point talking about kinetic weapons. To earn Lightfall, the stasis primary weapons will no longer have the 5% bonus versus unshielded targets in PvE. Rather, what they're going to be doing is kinetic primary weapon damage is going to be getting a multiplier up to 1.1, up from 1.05. Kinetic special weapon damage multiplier is going to be increased from 1.05 to 1.15, okay? So we're going to be going from 5% to 15% for kinetic special. And they remind us once again that there's going to be a kinetic damage type perk coming in Lightfall. Really interesting, though, that they didn't make a bullet point or a special note saying this does not affect blank special weapons. So maybe Izanagi's gonna be getting that buff. I'm here for it. So you guys know about the Leviathan's Breath. Well, this bad boy's gonna be getting a buff as well. Now it's going to apply volatile on perfect draw impact. It's going to be able to once again one hit kill any and all supers in PvP, as well as a smooth 30% buff to champions on the PvE side of things, which I am here for. I recently ran this bad boy through some GMs when it was the double reward week and was thoroughly impressed. Now they go on to mention a few other exotic changes, such as one that they're going to be doing to the 1000 voices, which each explosion is now going to apply 10 scorch stacks, 15 scorch stacks if you are running the Ember of Ashes fragment, which will allow you to proc an instant ignition as long as you land a full burst on your target, which will definitely be pretty cool for any style of Solar 3.0 builds going into Lightfall. The Two-Tail Fox is going to be changed to where its Solar Rocket is now going to apply 60 scorch stacks, plus 30, so 90 in total if you got Ember of Ashes. And then the Void Rocket already suppresses enemies, and then the Catalyst is going to complete the trifecta. I'm assuming that is referring to Jolt. Prometheus Lens has utility with the Solar 3.0 rework. Now they're going to be giving it Incandescent as part of the Catalyst. And then Grand Overture's Catalyst just switched it to Arc Blind. Eager Edge bullet points to mention: no longer deactivates when moving faster than 35 meters per second. Deactivates correctly after a single melee swing. That sucks. reduce the base lunge distance from 2 to 1.8, reduce the airborne lunge distance penalty from 25% to 20, enhanced perk now increases the lunge distance slightly back up to 2. As long as it doesn't affect my well skating, I'm good. And then the last real important thing to mention is going to be Vice Stinger. The origin trait that has been staying as the best for the past year is going to be getting nerfed pretty significantly, bro. Beforehand, the origin trait would fully reload your magazine when the perk would activate. Now, it's only going to reload 25%, down to a quarter, bro. Damn, look how they massacred my boy. Yeah, that's not going to be nearly as effective as a perk now, especially on some of the linear fusion rifles that people are using. Anyways, guys, it is going to about wrap up the video. Thank y'all so much for watching. Link to the full article if you want the full read for yourself at the top of the description, and we'll see you on the next one. Y'all be safe.